Biter, a love story. Day 1. We've finally found our new home. After weeks of exploring through the Red Desert, our squad of 12 brave biters have come across a large iron patch with stone and coal nearby. Plenty of food and supplies to last us through the winter. Our leader, Cackbite, has begun construction of the nest. I plucked up the nerve and spoke to Carabite again today. She seemed too preoccupied to notice my flirting, though. Earlier today, she saw a ball of fire fall from the sky and heard a crash come from somewhere beyond the cliffs to the east. Knucklebite, she said. This gives me a bad feelings in my antenna. I told her not to worry, but I felt the same nameless fear deep in my shell too. Something bad was coming. Day 4. The nest is complete. Glistens with its coating of lovely acid spit and throbs with the tiny movements of her brothers and sister waiting to be born. None have spawned yet, but Cackbite is scuttling around and beaming like a proud mother already. I harvested a load of iron ore today and brought it back for dinner. Carabite broke it down with her mandibles, and we all enjoyed a fine meal of crisp iron flavored with some copper nuggets that one of the others found. As we were sitting down to our feast, however, we could all hear faint clanking sounds coming from the east. Nobody was quite sure what to make of it, but I remembered Carabite's dire premonition. It made me shudder deep in my shell. Day 6. We are not alone. Cackbite sent a squad of 3 to look to the cliffs and check out the noises. Some strange creature is working there, building what looks like a weird sprawling nest made of twisted iron sculptures and packed stone mounds that belch with fire and smoke. The scouts also spotted the smoldering ruins of what looks like a crashed vehicle of some kind, possibly the very thing that Carabite saw tumble through the sky. So far, the creature doesn't appear dangerous, but the scouts did report a horrible stench emanating from the area. In other news, our first small biters are emerging from the spawner, stretching their little antennae to the wind for the first time, with little baby grunts and squeals. They're adorable. Day 12. The stench from the alien creature's realm beyond the cliffs has reached our nest. Holy biter, what a stink! It smells worse than a month of old piece of coal that's gone rotten. We've expanded to 3 biter nests and a spitter spawner now, with newborns emerging every day. And the first thing those poor little babies encounter is that disgusting vile smell. Carabite says that even the trees over there to the east are beginning to wilt and blacken under the foul miasma. Cackbite has ordered us to send a worm to defend the nest in case the creature does turn out to be dangerous. I spent most of the day spreading spit around the hole and packing it tight. It was hard, tedious work, but on the plus side, I had Carabite next to me, and in the tight quarters of the wormhole, our shells brushed against each other more than a few times. She didn't seem to mind either. A couple of times, I went red right down to the roots of my antenna, and I had to clench my mandibles tight to keep them from clicking. I was so happy. Day 17. Do you want the good news or the bad news first? Well, the bad news is that something awful is happening to us. We're mutating, or evolving, as Unospit likes to say. He thinks he's a wordsmith. I've grown into a medium biter much, much earlier than normal. And while I like the extra power and the feel of new muscles rippling under my shell, it scares me. No biter ever grew this fast. And it's not just me either. Most of original squad have bulked out considerably too, and Cackbite has become a big biter already. Carabite says it's got something to do with this sting. Speaking of Carabite, here's the good news. We kissed today for the first time. It happened while I was down in the iron patch, bringing back supplies for all the hungry new mouths. Carbide was with me, working away at a particular rich piece of ore, while the others were further down the patch. She turned out. She turned to me with all those beautiful eyes and just smiled like she was happy to be alone there with me, just the two of us. Well, I don't know what came over me, but I felt braver than ever before, and I just leaned in and tilted my head between her mandibles and kissed her, and she kissed me back. I've never felt so happy in my life. Day 20. Tragedy. Cacbite finally had enough of the scourge of pollution coming from the east and commanded a group of 4 scouts to go and talk to the stranger to tell it to stop building whatever the hell that unsightly clanking nest is. The stink and the noise gets worse every day and it needs to stop. But when the scouts failed to return, Cacbite herself went to the cliffs to peer over, and she saw their poor, lifeless bodies lying there amidst these sort of moving belts that the stranger was using to convey iron ore that was being bitten directly from the ground by some sort of large ore-grabbing machine, and over to us of those stone fire monsters. When she returned, Cacbite was furious. "War!" she screamed. "This can only mean war." Day 22. She's gone. My darling Carabite. Never again will we brush antenna and whisper sweet words of love in each other's ear holes. She was part of the war party, of course. Fully half the nest. Nearly 30 biters in all went out to fight the stranger. But the stranger had set up automated killing machines that looked like worms, but which spat small chunks of metal that ripped into the war party shells and tore apart their insides. The fields to the east are a mess of purple blood and ravaged spider bodies. And my Carabite, bless her sweet mandibles, was one of them. I am heartbroken. I am enraged. I will not rest until that monster has been bitten down to its bones. Day 25. It comes for our nest. In a great clanking machine that rolls on treads, the fiend approaches. But I, Nokobite, lover of Carabite, am ready for it. In my rage, these past few days, I have sucked up as much of the toxic fumes as I can stomach, and I have swollen myself into a behemoth. The others here at the nest are equally prepared. We have a dozen worms ranging from the big to the small to defend our children, and we have a line of spitters standing ready to melt the monsters into mush. I rush out in the first wave to engage the creature. Its vehicle is made of some sort of hardened iron and is tough to chew, but I get my mandibles into it a few times as it rolls straight through a nest and destroys it with barely any effort. The spitters are slowing the thing down with their acid, but it keeps moving, spitting death at my friends and family. It seems to go for the worms first, and then demolishes our nests. Cacbite has been killed, blasted apart by some sort of booming projectile launched from the long spitting hole on top of the vehicle, which is able to swivel to aim at its targets. Farewell, Cacbite. You led us well, and we will take our vengeance for you. My home. The ghastly fiend has smashed my home. All that I own destroyed. My unborn brothers and sisters waiting to be spawned killed. This animal must pay. I launched myself at it in fury and managed to cripple the vehicle's shell. The fiend tosses out of some sort of rock that explodes into fire and damages my shell. And then it rushes off while I am stunned. We give chase, but the creature is too fast. It will not escape our wrath, however. We will catch it, and we will tear its vehicle to pieces. And then we will bite this monstrous creature back to the unholy stars it came from, and we will use its blood to line the graves of our fallen. The vehicle has stopped, and the creature has jumped out. We must have damaged it beyond repair, and a dirty fiend is trying to escape on foot. I roar with rage, and my fellow biters join in the battle cry. We surge forward, smelling victory. The end is near for you, fiend. I come for you. For Carabite, I come for you. But wait, what is this? The creature has some sort of magic tool in its hand. It waves it over the vehicle and the thing starts to be growing new shell. The damage being reversed. We charged ahead, already seeing our doom at this creature's hand, but unable to turn back. We have no homes to turn back to, no more hope, no more love. All we have left is the red fog of rage. The creature finishes repairing its vehicle. I am close enough now to see its face. It smirks. As I race in, my mandibles stretch wide to tear that smirk off its face. It raises a long tube-like weapon and points it at me. A puff of smoke, a roar, and a whoosh, as something big and deadly looking is launched from the tube and streaks through the air toward me. And in the moment of my death, as I am engulfed in fire and pain, I hear it. I hear the fiend speak, muttering under its breath, as if it's gloating to itself. The factory must grow. The end.